Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And I must say that Ross Greer is turning into the new Lorna Slater. He is becoming comedy gold himself. But of course, he is a bit more malignant than her. She is just plain stupid. He is actually, quite conniving. He does things deliberately. He's that bullied boy who wants to get his own back on society. You can guarantee he was bullied at school, can't you? He just looks the sort. And so he's sitting there now, and he's run himself into rather a lot of trouble, potentially disastrous for him, because he's opened his stupid, ignorant mouth, made a claim, can't back it up, and it may have caused damage to a reputation of a very large company with an awful lot of money that can afford the very best lawyers. Ross Greer could be deep doo-doo because of his vindictive little mouth. The world's most masculine alpha male could be running and hiding under the skirt of his mother pretty quick. We'll take a look at this article to say why he has got himself into trouble. He's going to gottle it, isn't he? He's going to definitely, like the name of this video, it's a Gottle of Greer. Let's have a look. So Ross Greer puts his foot in it with tenants' bankruptcy comment after the DRS claim. The Scottish Green MSP was schooled by Roddy Dunlop KC, who warned his comments about the iconic lager producer could be defamatory. There's a picture of Scotland's most masculine man and a tin of beer, but that is not something he'll have drunk a lot of. He gets a bit dizzy on a can of Shandy Bass. God, does anyone remember that? Anyway, Scottish Green firebrand. Oh, he's hardly a firebrand. He's a nothing, isn't he? He's got a big mouth because he was, beaten at school, but that's about it. Anyway, he's been schooled on insolvency after he claimed the UK government was putting iconic lager producer Tennent's in danger of going bankrupt. The MSP was even told his comments were potentially defamatory by a legal expert. Mr. Greer, no stranger to outrageous claims, because everything he says is outrageous because it's all he's got. He hasn't got evidence to back up anything he says. He just makes big claims and walks away from them because he's stupid. Made his comment in relation to the Scottish Secretary Alistair Jack, saying he would grant an exemption to the Internal Market Act for Lorna Slater's botched and stupid deposit return scheme, but only if the project did not include glass. The Nats have tried to turn the offer into a constitutional crisis, which people are laughing at them for, claiming it's an affront to democracy, which it truly isn't. Many businesses had already called for glass to be omitted due to concerns over storage and the possibility of producers increasing their plastic use. However, the parent company of Glasgow-based Tennent's C&C Group has claimed a DRS without glass would put the business at a disadvantage. But what they're saying is if you don't include glass, anyone who sells in tins and bottles would be at a disadvantage to the glass producers. Not that the DRS scheme itself would put them at a disadvantage. The trouble with Greer is he's too stupid to understand that. He's saying you're artificially increasing the price of anything that goes into plastic and tins, but not doing the same for glass. But that's not why they're doing it. They're not doing it as a money-raising exercise, are they? They're claiming it's to help the environment, although 90% of all glass is currently recycled. So it's more BS from the Greens. What do you expect? Responding to the story in the Daily Record, Mr. Greer gleefully tweeted, "As far as the unintended consequences go, what the hell does he know about unintended consequences? If he knew about that, no proposal ever from the Greens would get off the ground because of the unintended consequences." So he's full of it, isn't he? Anyway, he says the Tories bankrupting tenants as a result of sabotaging the bottle return scheme is a doozy. They won't. The man's a moron. The man is an absolute moron. He opens his mouth, he lets his brain pour out, and his brain is the size of a walnut. Honestly, my dog has got a higher IQ than Ross Greer and is more manly. Anyway, however, his comment was questioned by Roddy Dunlop KC, Dean of the Faculty of Advocates. He responded by pointing out companies can't go bankrupt. He said also, a suggestion of competitive disadvantage is not in any way the same as suggesting a risk of insolvency. Yeah, I mean, he's saying they're going bankrupt, but of course, companies, it's people that go bankrupt. It's the same way as companies don't pay tax. People don't understand that, especially socialists. Socialists do not have a concept of this. They seem to think, oh, we'll increase corporation tax and these companies will pay tax. No, companies don't pay tax. Anyone with a basic understanding of how the tax system works knows that. Companies collect tax. If you put the tax up on something, the companies just add it to the cost of their product. Therefore, the people buying their product are paying the tax, not the companies. Companies are tax collectors, not taxpayers. And anyone who doesn't understand that has no business being in government. But anyway, he says, a suggestion that of a competitive disadvantage, this is Roddy Dunlop, he says, is not in any way the same as suggesting a risk of insolvency. He said, and thirdly, suggesting that a company might potentially be at risk of insolvency when it is clearly not is potentially defamatory. And I hope tenants get onto that phone up Messrs Sue Grabbit and Run, solicitors at law, and sue the back end of that tiny little wimp of a man to teach him what the true meaning of standing and understanding the law is. You know, and that's there. Anyway, Mr. Greer had also ignored the fact that as well as wanting glass included, C&C had therefore also lobbied for the nationalist government to wait for the UK-wide scheme to be implemented. But he's choosing to ignore that. On the subject of glass, the company's GB Managing Director Andrea Pozzi said, by removing glass from the Scottish DRS, tenants sold in cans in the Scottish off-trade would be at a competitive disadvantage, undermining our business and placing jobs and investment at risk. The removal of glass will result in a reduction of consumer choice. But that's not the same as saying that the company will go under. Mr. Jack left than that's fuming with his Internal Market Act offer over the weekend, despite being given the green light for the scheme to progress without glass. Circularity Minister Miss Slater and First Minister Hamza Yousaf have both said they may scrap it now altogether. Go on, that's the best thing you can do. And while you're at it, Hamza, scrap her. Scrap Slater, because she is an absolute moron. And there he is. Look, Scotland's big macho man. You can imagine him on the battlefield, scaring the opposition with his tiny arms, tiny feet, stamping them into the ground. He was definitely bullied at school, wasn't he? Anyway, rounding off and coming up. I suppose he can't help it. When you've got an IQ the size of a mushroom, and you're just never going to open your mouth and say anything sensible. But to actually sort of defame a massive multi-million pound company who's got some very good lawyers, you're a moron. But I really do hope that they take him to court. I'd love to see him go and face at the inside of a courtroom. I'd love them to see these lawyers in action, and I'd love them to take him for everything, because he lies. I mean, it's quite outright lying, but it's also defamatory lying. And I think that they do have a case, and it would be fantastic. He certainly needs to learn. And he won't learn while people pander to him as he stands there, stamping his tiny feet and going, I want this and I want that. And if I don't, I'll tell my mummy. Because that's exactly what he is. That man has never left his mother's apron strings, has he? He's barely capable of looking after himself. Unbelievable. And he just hasn't got a clue. Anyway, I shall finish there. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you see here on the channel, please hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, delete your tenants, and goodbye.